Hey guys, it's Nicole Eaton with the Rock Your Soul book and podcast, where we talk about how to hack your mindset, grow your intuition, and live your best life. You can support this podcast by subscribing, leaving a positive review, and screenshot and sharing on social media. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Rock Your Soul podcast. I'm your host, Nicole Eaton, author of the book Rock Your Soul, The Down to Earth Guide to Mastering Your Mind, which is available on Amazon, and soul therapist. And I'm back with another episode. I really wanted to tag on to the last couple of episodes because I got a couple messages after my last podcast about designing your future self. And one of the questions was, how do you learn to trust yourself? How do you learn to be a reliable person? How do you learn to follow through? And I think that's like a multi-part answer, right? But the first part is we talk a lot about like, who are you in the world? Who do you believe yourself to be? And I had a client recently who she described herself as a hot mess. She's like, I'm always a hot mess. I'm a hot mess. And she kind of like almost took pride in it. Like, just that's a thing that we say when we're being relatable or whatever. But when we declare that we are a certain way, it matters because our brain looks for evidence that we're that. And so, if what you describing yourself as does not feel very good, if you really look at it, I want you to ask yourself to monitor that inner mean girl, that inner shit talker, and ask yourself, what would I rather be? This is part of designing your future, but this is part of of trusting yourself because for a really long time, I like would always joke, "Oh, I'm just not a consistent person. I'm not a consistent person. I don't follow through on anything." Like my human design, guys, is not meant to be consistent. And I would use it as an excuse, but I also realized that I told myself that so much that I let myself off the hook a lot because I would say I wasn't a consistent person. And so my brain would look for ways and reasons. And then when it would show up and I didn't do the thing that I said I was going to do, that I would immediately be like, oh, see, inconsistent AF. Like that's me. I'm just not reliable as a person, right? But the thing is like deep down, I really desired to be a consistent person. And the thing is when we have a desire, it's coming from our soul. Usually our desires come from deep within us when we desire to be something or someone. So I was sabotaging the fuck out of myself by having the desire that says I want to be a consistent person and then having the language that was stating otherwise. I was constantly telling everybody who would listen that I was an inconsistent person and I was thinking and I was proving it to myself. So one of the most important pieces of learning to trust yourself is creating some language around that internally in your internal dialogue that it's safe to fucking trust yourself. Have you developed a language around that or an inner dialogue around trusting yourself that, oh, I just can't trust myself. I never make good decisions. I'm a terrible decision maker. I want you to watch how you're speaking to yourself about this experience and ask yourself, like, do I desire to be different? Am I somebody who is currently inconsistent, but I desire to be more consistent? Am I someone who is currently a hot mess, but I desire to be more put together? Asking yourself those questions because we let ourselves go on with our shit for so long. We do. We create these labels for ourselves that suck. And it's so wild to me that we do this and we don't even realize we do it. It's just so normal to us that we don't know. I talk about this in my new book coming out hopefully next year. But I talk about this in my new book, and I was in high school. I had a locker next to a kid who he just smelled like ramen noodles every single day, and sometimes that was a lot. Sometimes that made me hungry, but but I was like, how do you not know this strong smell is radiating from you? But the thing is that what you've deemed as normal and are in frequently, your brain doesn't recognize as a problem. So when we start to look at our problems, sometimes it's just really dredging through the stuff that we've deemed normal, ways of interacting, ways of thinking, ways of labeling ourselves that isn't actually normal. It isn't actually helping us. It isn't actually getting us to where we want to go. So part of self-trust is really going through in a day and just monitoring. Am I talking shit to myself? Am I deciding I'm this, I'm that, I don't follow through, I'm no good, I'm whatever? I just want you to keep an eye on all of that stuff, all of that good stuff. And what do I see because of it? Because again, if you don't hear me say this every episode, is it even my podcast? Your brain is a Google search bar, and what you tell it, it will look for. So part of cultivating self-trust is it's safe to trust myself. It's safe to trust myself. Trusting myself gets a little easier every day, actually. I always make really good decisions. I make decisions that are my best and highest good. They feel so good to me. I always make the best decisions. I know that even if I make a decision that doesn't go well, I was needing to learn something from it. All decisions I make are in my best and highest good in whatever way they present as. And so we can start to form language and inner dialogue that is consistent with who we decide to be and consistent to be someone who trusts themselves. Because when we're designing our future, we need to trust ourselves to make choices about what direction we want to go, because the other option is paralysis of indecision. And when we don't have a direction, it's really hard to go that way. Imagine trying to get from point A to point B, except for you don't know where point B is. So you're just fucking wandering? What are you doing? No, we don't do that. We have to have a little bit of a point B. Even if it's a general direction, like I said, it's safe to trust myself. Maybe I don't fully trust myself yet. That's only because I told myself so long that I was inconsistent and it's not safe to trust myself and that I'm a bad decision maker and it takes me a long time to make decisions and whatever else, whatever bullshit we've filled our heads with about being able to trust ourselves and trust our inner authority and trust our intuition. Because our intuition is speaking to us. And the more we listen to it, the more loud it becomes, the more you can hear it. But when we start to doubt ourselves, we actually also are doubting our soul's voice, which is our intuition. Our intuition is just our soul's voice. It's that inner knowing. It's the when we're like, I don't know, I don't know, I don't know. If we just stop and just say, I choose to know. I'm opening this up to know. I'm getting more clear by the day. I'm a more consistent person by the day. Then we get that inner guidance. Because the thing is our self-trust is made up out of a lot of different pieces, right? It's the mindset, but it's more so the inner guidance. The inner guidance that's speaking to you legit at all times about what the next little nudge is going to be. And we want internal guidance and intuition to look like we want it to look like a laid out plan of action, and that is not how intuition works. Intuition works one step at a time. So, our job is to begin to create language, better language, around who we desire to become. What that would entail believing about ourselves and how we can grow to trust ourselves. Because the thing is that when you learn to trust yourself and you learn that you're somebody who shows up, you start to make massive shifts in your life. Like if we're looking for change, this is where we start. Okay? If you're looking to change your life, this is where we start. The other really, really big important piece, other than developing the language, I'm safe. It's safe to trust myself. It's safe to and create incredible things for myself. It's safe to make choices. I always make great choices. I make choices that are always in my best and highest good. I really listen to my intuition when I make choices. I take time. I stop asking other people for directions to my life. Like that's a problem, right? So, the other really important part when it comes to trusting yourself is showing yourself that you can trust yourself, which means showing the fuck up for your life. I'm reading this book called The No Nonsense Year or The Year of No Nonsense by Meredith Atwood. Super good book. Love it. Found it on accident, or it found me, I guess we'll say. Divine intervention. It found me. But it's really about eliminating stuff that's not serving you. Just getting clear on have you ever asked yourself, like, what is my potential if I actually showed up for myself? That's terrifying to me. Like, what are the ways that I've been blocking myself that I haven't been showing up for myself? And what could I be if I was fully there, if I was fully present, if I was fully aware of what I want, if I was stepping into my potential and I stopped asking myself the wrong questions or labeling myself the wrong things, if I stopped making excuses and I stopped invalidating myself or deciding that I wasn't worthy, like if we just ditched the nonsense, who could you fucking be in this world? Could you imagine? So I'm reading this book, and one of the things that I've been thinking a lot about is just follow through of habits, of things that you desire, things that you want to do, completing things. So I went back through. I did get this book from the library, but I have been going back through and finishing books that I bought that I never finished. And that's just like a little thing for me, right? Is to go back through these books that have been half read and just completing them. But it's again a practice of self trust. Do I trust myself to complete the things that I finish? Well, see, I'm doing it. I'm completing them. I'm reading 10 pages a day. I'm reading 20 pages a day. I'm reading a couple chapters a day, whatever that is. So, whatever your label is, whatever would inspire more trust in yourself, one of my favorite things to do is to start small. When we're making changes in our life, we usually make these big, grandiose changes and then we can't keep up with them. That's like our New Year's resolutions fail. Why? Because we've made them so far opposite of who we are and what we can truly do. So sometimes when we break our habits down and we break the things that we promise ourselves down into smaller moments, smaller experiences, okay, I can read 10 pages instead of reading 2 books a week. When we start to give ourselves a chance to be successful, it automatically increases our ability to trust ourselves. When we're following through on small promises, like I promise I'm going to do a meditation for 10 to 13 minutes. I found a 13-minute meditation. That's why 13 popped in my head. But for 10 to 13 minutes, I'm going to do a meditation and it's going to be to help clear my energy. And I'm going to read 10 pages a day. And whatever those things are that are going to help you show up for yourself and help you release some of this nonsense you've allowed or created in your life, those are the things that we're going to follow through on. And something as simple. Okay, so one of the books I was reading, I want to say it was How to Do the Work by Nicole LaPera, Dr. Nicole LaPera. And she talked about this woman who just drank a glass of lemon water in the morning every day. That was her promise to herself. Every morning, I will drink a glass of water with lemon in it every morning before I get out of bed. And she did. And that's a really small promise, but as you are doing that and completing that, it does feel good. It fires those dopamine receptors and it tells our body that, hey, we're someone who fucking follows through. We're someone who shows up. We're someone who's ditching the nonsense and the, oh, I'm too tired and I don't feel like it today. And we're giving ourselves permission to be successful and to trust ourselves that what we say we do, we fucking do. Our body honestly just needs proof of things and it will find proof through what it already believes. So we might as well create opportunities for it to believe something new and different and better about ourselves. Might as well give it opportunities to show, look, I am somebody who follows through. Look, I can make bigger goals for myself and set higher things because I'm someone who shows up for them. It is a process of unlearning old behaviors and relearning ones that are new. And again, breaking that down into bite sized chunks. It doesn't have to be crazy. And one of my other favorite tools and tips for this is giving yourself permission to not do anymore, right? So sometimes if I don't want to work out, I'll just say I'm going to work out for the next like 5 to 10 minutes. And if by 5 to 10 minutes I'm done, I stop. But most of the time, I just need to get started. Most of the time, I just need a little beginning moment. Even with reading, sometimes I'll just do, I'll read for 10 minutes or I'll read for 5 minutes. Give yourself a chance to be successful in your life. This is how we start establishing trust in our behaviors. We establish trust in our minds first, we establish trust in our intuition second, and then we establish trust through our behaviors. But this is our culmination of like, how do I show up and trust myself? Well, I make it manageable for myself. I ask myself the questions of what have I been telling myself about who I am? If I'm consistent, what do I look like? What things work for me? And then how do I make small action steps? Okay, well, I'm not going to commit to 5 things at a time that are extreme and big, but what I am going to do is I am going to ride the Peloton for 20 minutes in the morning. Every morning. That's what I'll do. Or I'll drink a glass of water in the morning before I even get out of bed. Or I'll sleep with my phone in a different room instead of right next to my bed. Or I'll block that person on all social media and text just so I can give myself a reprieve. Or whatever your I'll do is, I want you to think about it right now and think about how do you make it manageable for yourself. Let's set you up for success when we're changing your life. We don't have to dive in hard. Sometimes I always say, so one of the things I say a lot to my clients is a lot of times we're just afraid to admit the truth of the situation. And when we start to admit the truth, and we're afraid to make the decision because of the action required, but we can also make mental decisions and watch the energetics change things in our life. that's a great start. So if you feel like, I don't even know how this would happen, I'm really ready to leave this job, make the mental decision that you're going to leave and just see what shows up in your experience. Okay, I'm going to leave. I'm going to leave. Maybe you put that out a ways. Maybe that's 35 days from now. Maybe that's 2 months from now. I'm going to, leave. And we don't ask why or where you're going or whatever. We're going to allow your intuition to help you out. But sometimes when we make a mental decision, we can watch the universe really work in our favor, really create some magic around what we're doing, and really allow ourselves to learn that when we make a promise to ourselves, we keep it. When we make a promise to ourselves and decide, the universe moves out of the way to make it happen for you. So that's your power in trusting yourself. So as you're designing your future, your job is to open yourself up to something incredible, to open yourself up to be somebody who follows through, to know it's safe to trust yourself, to know it's safe to show up for yourself. And that's your magic. So make sure you guys grab my book on Amazon. It's called Rock Your Soul by Nicole Eaton. Visit me, book a session, NicoleEaton.com. Follow me on Instagram, NicoleEaton.xo. My name has an H in it. It's Nichole. My parents made me different so that I could never find anything with my name engraved on it. So that's me. But I hope you guys are having a wonderful, wonderful week. Next week is Thanksgiving. I anticipate we will talk about gratitude. I feel that in my bones. I was going to do it today, but it felt too early. So make sure you subscribe, like, share. I appreciate all your love. And gosh, the messages that come through from this, guys, like I said, podcasting is so different because I'm not seeing an immediate response from it. But I love your messages and I love the shares and I love everything that you support me in. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Love you millions. Bye. Thank you so much for listening to the Rock Your Soul book and podcast. Take a moment to book a one-on-one session with me or purchase my trainings at NicoleEaton.com. Join the Rock Your Soul Facebook group or follow me on Instagram at NicoleEaton.xo. And if you loved this podcast, don't forget to share it. Thank you.